Hey everyone, Akash here, and today we have Ehsan Ali for the podcast, joining us all the way from Australia to share some suggestions about the career and career growth. So let's welcome Ehsan and see what are his thoughts about the career growth. All right. Hi Ehsan, thank you for joining us all the way from Australia and ready to sharing about thoughts on career coaching. So before we jump on to some key topics and questions, why don't we get started with your experience? I see you have more than 20 years of experience all the way from India with teaching and then IT and then now career coaching. So it's pretty vague and also in several directions. So talk to us about your journey and what made you today who you are.
No worries. Thanks for inviting me on your podcast, Akash. Very happy to share my journey and my message. Very typical Indian, got in IT because that's what was happening at that time. Though I did electrical engineering,
Uh-huh.
got into teaching because that's the first job I could get. And from there, when I got in IT, typical IT career movement, because you are in IT, you get to go abroad. So that's how I moved around in the world. But where I specialized is I remained in financial services industry for long, and
Uh-huh.
towards the end, I was in account management and business development. So I've pretty
Mhm.
much covered every aspect of an IT career. The developer,
Yeah.
the tester, the analyst, the project manager, the program manager, and so pretty much understand the landscape well, and that really helps me in my career coaching.
Uh-huh. So does that mean that even the career coaching you're giving is also in the same direction of people like developers and IT based? Or
Yeah, yeah, predominantly. So where I thought the major challenge that I had, and it's kind of niching your own niche, is once you reach to certain level, you feel like you're not growing,
mm-hmm.
and we do not have any course either in our company or in college
Yeah.
that teaches you how to grow in your career. So that's one thing I started to learn about, and I've done quite a number of things to understand how things work. So I focus on predominantly mid-career professionals,
Mm-hmm.
typically 12, 14, 15 years of work experience to 20, 25 years. I touch upon some aspects of executive coaching as well, people who are quite senior and they want to
Mm-hmm.
make a move. So there are a little different way of pursuing at that level. So yeah, so
Okay.
pretty much mid-career IT professional. So you could be a senior business analyst, you could be an
Yeah.
architect, you could be a project manager, or you could be a business development manager who wants to get into director role but is struggling to move up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, even if you see in that direction, like as a developer or a software side of it, even with a person having like 10 plus years of experience, I think the challenge with this development side is if you see the resumes, it could be web development or machine learning or AI. Almost all of them has all of the skills in their resumes
yeah,
because certifications is very easy these days. We
yeah,
can go to Udemy and other spots.
yeah,
Now the challenge comes to be how do we stand out while maybe we have a real skills and real experience and others might have just certifications, but when we put in a resume we put the same words.
yeah.
How do we really stand out in that crowd?
Very good question. See, it's not a very straight answer, Akash. The
Uh-huh.
reason is, if you look at career itself, is a 45 years long journey.
Right.
Okay, and if you are copying somebody else's journey, can you imagine how happy or how fulfilled you could be? So
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge is everybody is just imitating somebody else's journey.
Right.
And when you do that, you are most likely not bringing in your natural abilities at work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, your interests, your values, your abilities, your strengths. If you are not really bringing all these together, you can't really compete with somebody else.
Right. Right.
So what you tend to do is, your friend got a job, a better
Uh-huh.
job, few $1,000 extra, so
Yeah.
you attempt to get your next job.
Right.
Okay, so you got it. 6 months down, 6 months down the line, you start to feel again vulnerable. What do I do now? Your friend bought a new Tesla. Now you're thinking, what do I do to get my next Tesla? So the whole thought process about finding a new job and building career is not aligned to who you are. And I feel that's the biggest challenge. And most
Mm-hmm.
professionals I have coached, more than 100 professionals I have coached while I was in job and after coming out of job and starting my own career coaching business, most people are not authentically building their career. So I think that's where I would focus first. Can you do a bit of introspection and write down, literally write
Yeah.
down, what comes naturally to you? Which, for example, I don't know if it has happened to you. It has happened to me. Like somebody says, "Hey, you connect so well with people,"
Uh-huh.
and I would say, "Well, nothing, man. That's easy."
Yeah.
And I kind of discard that I have a skill which comes naturally to me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep your eyes and ears open to listen to when people say something like that and you make a note of this, you would have a good list of skills or strengths that come naturally to you. If you
Yeah.
keep at the core of every decision you are taking in your career, and then you start to add your core
Mm-hmm.
values, for example, for me, freedom and creativity are two top core values. So if I work for
Mm-hmm.
an organization where everything is very systematic and there is very little opportunity to be creative, or you know kind of not be afraid of doing mistakes and those kind of things, I would not flourish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So knowing your core values is very important. What kind of culture you like, what kind of work you like, and all of those things is very, very important. So first you
Mm-hmm.
understand your natural abilities, look at your core values, then look at your skills that you have developed, then look at what aspirations you have. When you start to put this together at the core of it, you'll be able to find people who are already ahead doing what you want to do. You will be able to
Mm-hmm.
find companies which actually align with you,
Yeah.
not other way around, not
Yeah.
because they're paying you $2,000 extra.
Right. Right.
If anybody takes a career this way, I don't see a problem. Absolutely no problem. People have this kind of notion like, oh, my friend's friend became a CXO, so I got to become a CXO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I do not, I will be failure in
Right.
from the social visibility perspective.
Right. Right.
Okay, so there's a lot of vulnerability in thinking about career. I think if your listeners get something out of it, my suggestion would be to build it inside out, not outside in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to become Microsoft's CEO.
Right.
Okay, you could be a leader in your own way if you identify authentically who you are. I think I
Well,
can go on and on, but I'll stop here. I'll let you ask more
well,
questions.
that's probably that's probably difficult to do than said, I guess. Building inside out. So, but
Akash, very easy. As I said,
uh-huh.
only 4 or 5 things needs to look at it, and people can note down if they feel like. First, what comes naturally to you? And if I ask you or me, I say I really don't know. Then how do I find out? Kind of create a project, 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
project. In 2 weeks, anybody whom I feel they are trusted people, be it part of the
Mm-hmm.
family or outside, I will ask them, what do you think I am really good at and naturally comes to me, or you feel like I'm doing really well, and ask this kind of questions. Make a note. You would find definitely there's nobody in this world who was born with
Right.
no skill or talent or anything like that. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
most of the time it's we put that limitation and say, oh no, I'm not good enough, because we are
Mm-hmm.
comparing with somebody. But
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are looking at you and saying, this comes so naturally to Akash, he does it so well. And when he tells Akash says, well, no man, what is this? It's such an easy thing. So that's the first thing. Similarly, on core values, there are plenty of material on internet on finding really assessing what are your top 3, 4, 5 values.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a journey again. If you observe that for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, I mean, how difficult it is to find out what kind of environment you like to work in. As I said, if I get pressure, like somebody is always on my head, somebody says you have to do only this way and you can't think beyond that, if you fail doing all this kind of restriction, I wouldn't like to work there.
Right. Right.
How difficult it is to find out what you will work, what you will not like to do, or in the environment you don't want to be versus what you want to be in. You got to do a little bit of thinking. Write it down.
Right. I think that part's true. Yeah. Finding the person, your own core values, and what you're looking for as a culture standpoint. But I think the big question is, how do we represent? Let's say we find what we want and the core values and everything. Now, how do we represent that? before we even get a call from an interviewer or somebody?
Yeah,
Or do you
yeah.
think that this is necessary for making the connections?
So I'll put the whole framework for your audience. This is very simple. If you look at it top down, you draw a triangle, okay, and have three sides of the triangle. One
Mm-hmm.
side call it clarity,
Mm-hmm.
second side call it communication,
Uh-huh.
and third side call it connection. So three C's: clarity,
Mm-hmm.
communication, and connection. Clarity is all about first part that we discussed, which is the introspection part of it. Second is once you have looked at that, and then a skill, then the experience and all of those things that you have, the education you have gone through, start to look for people who could be your role model in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the way they have built their career. They are 2, 3, 4, 10 years ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Start to connect with them. It was never easier than what it is today on LinkedIn and many
Right.
other ways you can connect with professionals. Start to have informational interviews with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, of course, we don't have enough time to go in detail of how do you connect with people, how do you ask right kind of question, how do you really add value to them so that they give you some value. And if you
Yeah.
just go to ask and take and take and take, nobody
Yeah.
wants to talk to you. So keeping that in mind, you connect with these people who could be your role models. Do a lot of informational interviews. If you are early days of career, you will start to see 2 3 different paths.
Mm-hmm.
Then you again research on the companies which will help you go on one of these 2 3 paths.
Mm-hmm.
Not you see a company which is paying more and you run towards them. You
Right.
did your introspection, you did some role modeling. Now you can, and you'll be surprised. Some of these role models are working for one of those companies that are best fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you did introspection, you did role modeling, not few, quite a lot of informational interviews. That's
Mm-hmm.
where it is make and break for a lot of young graduates. They don't want to talk to people who are ahead of them,
Mm-hmm.
and they take advice from people who are at par with them.
Right.
How far can you go with that?
Right.
You're
That's
reluctant,
true.
you're afraid, all of those things. Break that reluctance and fear, because if you don't break it now, you're stuck forever.
Mm-hmm.
So that informational interview is key to grow, and at every stage, in fact, because most people, say 10 years of experience, they have not really talked to anybody else. Whatever they have built by themselves.
Right.
Okay, and that's quite scary. So that's the second part. The third part is, of course, finding the company. So all of these things you did, you have built your enough clarity.
Uh-huh.
Second part, which you ask, how do they represent? That's where comes communication. There are three things you need to do in communication. One, you need to articulate your value really well. And value
Mm-hmm.
is what value you add to the business.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about your degree and skill. It's about what do you do for them. It's
Yeah.
very easy to think, but most people don't think that way. What do you do for them? How do you add value to them? What does company want? If I have a company and Akash, you have a company, when we hire somebody, what do we want? Can he help me in growing my revenue?
Right.
Can she help me reducing cost? Can she
Right.
streamline my processes, automate, and reduce my effort, and all of those things, reduce risk and revenue, and there are fundamental 3 4 things that every business wants.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about any job, you ask yourself, with the skill and my ambition and aspiration and all the strength, what value do I bring to the business? That's the business
Mm-hmm.
value proposition. And second is unique selling proposition. Every individual has a journey which is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
If you can identify and again do a little bit of reading and maybe have a coach to refine your unique selling proposition, when you create a good business value proposition and good unique selling point, you have no competition.
Right.
Right, so that's the first part of communication: business value proposition and unique selling point. The second part of communication is building visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I say this often. I learned it from a book called Startup of You by Reid Hoffman, who is the
Mm-hmm.
co-founder of LinkedIn. I call it business of you. Today career is not about somebody giving you a job and taking care of you.
Yeah.
Today career is about business of you.
It's pretty much the sales of yourself,
Yeah.
is,
If
is
it is
what
a
you're saying.
business of me, then
Yeah.
it's all my responsibility. The marketing, the sales, delivery, everything is my responsibility.
Hmm.
So the business value and unique selling proposition is part of refining my value proposition as a business or as a business of me. Second part is creating visibility. If nobody knows where is my business going,
Mm-hmm.
And creating visibility, the best way of creating visibility is you interact more and more with people who are like you, ambitious, and people who are ahead of you.
I
And
see.
the first step, every professional I coach, I recommend is, so what do you do? So, oh, I'm in cybersecurity. Okay, what are the top two, three associations in cybersecurity? So
Mm-hmm.
some of them know, so they would say these ones, and which one you are part of? They would say I'm part of ISACA. Fantastic. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're part of nothing, then I'll give them some ideas on these are some of the institutions you should be part of. That's where you will meet people who are ahead of you in the journey that you are pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
If they're already part of it, then the next question I'll ask is, so what role do you play there? Oh, I'm just a member.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are the different roles that you see there? Oh, somebody is director enrollment, somebody is president this. I said, so what will it take to become get one of those roles? And the question would be, why do I need that role? To create more visibility. You see how it
Right.
works? And it
Right.
doesn't
Right.
cost much. It costs a little bit of effort and maybe a little bit of fees to be part of that. But now you are in the community where you want to grow. You are with
Mm-hmm.
people who are already ahead of you. But if you're not part of the community, how are you going to really understand what's going on? You are behind walls. You're just by
Right.
yourself. So that's one way
Yeah.
of doing it. Second way is, today LinkedIn is a platform where interaction is quite normal. You engage with people who are ahead of you in the path that you are pursuing. So that's the part of visibility. And the third part of communication is authority.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk to somebody who's not senior enough, I say, oh, authority is for people who are already in leadership role. I said, no, 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 not really. I have got people who have worked for me. They have their own blogs and say they are good in SQL, so they talk a lot about SQL, and people ask them questions. They are authority in their area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you build authority? You could, some like one of those
Mm-hmm.
guys. You could have a blog where you share their knowledge, create a community around you. You could write something on LinkedIn as an article or post. You could write in the different magazines and lots of associations who
Mm-hmm.
are promoting your skill. Meaning the say for example, if you're a data scientist, there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot in data science. I mean, you as a data scientist know a lot more than somebody who does not know anything about data scientists. you
Right.
can you can share those knowledge in those forums and
I think
institutions
I think
where
that's
people.
one great point because when I see a lot of young recent graduate resumes for hiring purpose, they don't have work experience. So what they try to say is we need one chance to get started. And on other side, recruiters may think like there are so many projects you can do online for free, and but the students feel but we don't have initial guidance. So I think it's a back and forth which goes on, and I think what you're trying to say is build a community around you with whatever knowledge you have and keep building the skill, right?
So yeah, community. See, I just gave different examples, Akash. One is you could do blog.
Yeah.
These are just example. I'm just
Right.
opening up somebody's mind. Like it could be a blog, it could be series of article. Like every quarter you write one article on LinkedIn, post it. Nobody looked at it. Doesn't matter. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. You put it in your featured section.
Yeah.
People who have to see will see. It's in the featured
Yep.
section.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you could be a guest writer in one of the magazines or online magazines and whatnot, which talks about areas that you have studied just now,
Mhm.
and you have done a project. Why young professionals undermine their project? Their project is probably as good as any other project that they would do in future.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, you are a PhD, Akash. You know the
Yeah.
kind of project you would have done. You most likely would not get to do that difficult project in your job.
Right. I think a lot of people have ideas in the shower, and they can convert with the skill set available freely online. Like, but I think it's difficult for everybody to believe that anybody can be Mark Zuckerberg, and with amount of resources available online. But I think that's underestimating oneself, I guess. Once we can get started something, I think it can, if it's unique, then that can grow.
So yeah, so coming back to, so I said try draw a triangle. One side is
Right.
clarity, and we shared in clarity two three things like do the introspection, do role modeling, find company suit you, not other way around. Then we came in communication. We said do bit of thinking and writing and learning from others how to create a business value proposition, unique selling point. Then we came to visibility, and then final thing is authority. Visibility, again, you are creating visibility about who you are, not
Mm-hmm.
as are you Mark Zuckerberg or anybody else. You don't have to be anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have done the clarity right, you are so motivated to share who you are.
Right, right,
If you haven't done the clarity part, you are confused.
right,
Anybody you look at, you think, can I be that person, or I
right.
can't be as good as that person. So that
Yeah,
will go on for rest of your life, and it will never end.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's why I focus a lot on clarity. Then visibility, you could, as I said, you could write article, you could even start with where you are, collect some friends or your colleagues and say, I want to present half an hour on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so as professionals, a lot of us would have done this, created some lunch hour conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, okay, every week one of us will stand and talk for 10 minutes. Start with that.
Right, right.
Okay, and it's easy, where just don't try to do something which is beyond, way beyond your comfort zone. So all the
Yeah.
examples I gave, don't pick up any one of these. Pick up which feels like it's in my comfort zone, and now
Mm-hmm.
you've got a kind of an idea. You use it, and go and do Google what are the different ways of sharing your knowledge.
Right.
You'll find something that suits you. So that's where you create visibility.
Uh-huh.
And also engage with professionals. You start to connect them. There are a lot of professionals who are building their brand on LinkedIn. So when they
Mm-hmm.
post something, you can go and like. That's the easiest thing to do like.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is related to what you are learning or what you're good at, you can share your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you share your opinion, the better value you are creating for this senior person. So the more
Mm-hmm.
inclined he or she is to connect back with you. Now you could probably find a role model in them or a mentor in them. See how it
Mm-hmm.
works. So visibility is very important. I also talk about, visibility, we had to touch upon number of things. Now we were an authority. So writing, speaking, these are the ones you could write a book. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people today are writing a book. Now,
Yeah.
not for everybody, as you said, but somebody who's been thinking that. I know people who wrote C language. You remember language C?
Right.
They finished their masters and they wrote their first book on C.
Wow.
They created more examples than the other
Mm-hmm.
authors had given.
I see.
Simple.
Yeah.
So same concept. So
It's the
pretty
same
much
concept,
copying
but
a
just more
book
examples.
and added more examples.
Yeah.
You could create a 15-page ebook
Mm-hmm.
on the area that you have studied in your master's or graduation or whatever. Or if you are in work for 5 years, you have done few things. Create a 15-page article, put it in your featured section, send it to your friends and colleagues and everybody. You start to get that feel that, oh, you can create something, and then you can go to the next level and next level. So authority is always connected with sharing your opinion, and you are called thought leader. You don't have to be a 20 years experience or a CX of a company to become a thought leader. You could be a developer who's just starting, and you could be a
Mm-hmm.
thought leader. So when you gave example of Mark Zuckerberg, he did not wait for becoming 50 before he
Right.
did what he did. He did at 19. So so
Right.
that's an authority. So there are three things I talked on communication. Final thing is connection. The self-made is a myth. I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs to understand and break that. And if you want to grow in career, and career consists of, could be an employment for rest of your life, or you could start business, or you could in between do whatever different things. You got to have a network of professional whom you can engage with, who are
Mm-hmm.
ahead of you. Some of them could be your sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
There's a concept called a sponsor. Hopefully you guys have heard about it. So when you are an organization and you are at role A, and if you want to go to role A plus plus,
Mm-hmm.
and you raise your hand, but when asked somebody, should we give it to him, and this, not sure, I don't think he takes the full accountability, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's a conversation happening in the senior leadership room, in the boardroom, that we have this new program coming up, and we need somebody who takes full accountability, has very strong knowledge on data science, and so on and so forth. And one of the guys sitting in that room says, hey, you should look at Akash.
Mm-hmm.
What did happen? That person sponsored you.
Yeah.
So if you're not connecting well within the organization and connecting well with the leaders and showing your visibility and authority, yeah, how would somebody sponsor you?
Yep,
So
I
when
think
you,
that's a specifically great point for introverts
yeah,
about how do you put
yeah,
yourself
if you're
visible for
introvert, don't speak, right?
right.
Right. So
Yeah.
connection is an ongoing activity which needs to be done. See, most of us, and I say that very often, and I'm very vocal about it, including for me as well. In last few years, I've developed it differently.
Hmm.
Our network consists of our friends, our colleagues, sporting friends, maybe spouse friends, kids, parents. End of the story.
Hmm.
And none of these were my proactive initiative. These were all automatic.
Yeah.
If everybody says network is net worth, network is your biggest asset, and if it is automatic, what can you
Right.
expect from this network?
Right. Right. So, is
Okay,
this the three C's you mentioned? Is this the same strategy you follow when somebody comes to you for career
absolutely,
coach? Like, do this exercise
absolutely,
first, and then come back to me with
absolutely,
details. Is
absolutely,
that the procedure?
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
see.
I mean, we could change the order of some of those things,
Yeah.
but if you have clarity, you communicate it right, and you have the right connections, you don't need to apply for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Job comes to you.
Yeah.
Or if you want a job, you are going through somebody.
Mm-hmm.
80% of the jobs do not come in the market.
Oh wow. It's
Okay, so
internal.
yeah, internal or through recommendations.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
may not be in that company, you may be somewhere else, but somebody
Mm-hmm.
reaches out to you that somebody said, blah, 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 would you like to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 20% jobs in the market and 80% people are fighting for it.
Yeah.
And these are all left out jobs. I'm not
Right.
really discouraging. I'm sorry if somebody is feeling bad about it. Majority of these left out jobs are not the juiciest jobs.
Right. Right. I think
So
that's
80%.
important point because some of the questions we get asked by recent graduates and young applicants is uh, whatever we put in our description of resumes of your work experience, your projects, and all the bullet points you put. The question people think is, is the recruiter really reading these things? Is anybody reading these things at all? So I think it's important that 80% of the jobs, when they are filled within internally or with referral systems, that means most of the job profiles which we create needs to be prepared for direct human beings instead of these ATS robot systems. I think that's one important point which to
Yeah, I mean,
emphasize
if
here.
it is going directly to somebody, so I mean, there
Right,
has been cases. I know so many of cases where the person was asked, "Would you like to take this role?" I said, "Okay, can you get the JD?" "Oh, no, don't worry, just send the resume," and the guy gets the job. Okay,
right,
so they're not even looking at the resume; they're just looking at high level
yeah,
few things. However, when it comes to resume, one of the things I have realized, of course, ATS is definitely uh, in this left out 20% job. Again, you got to do that if you don't
right,
have all the things lined up. Then how do you do the best? I think the first page is very crucial, especially the first
mm,
paragraph is very crucial.
mm-hmm.
And how you write is not about you. How you
Yeah,
write is about them.
right,
Okay, so for example, if you write in the whatever you call it, objective or
yeah,
career objective or
summary, yeah,
summary or whatever you start with, say 3 times awardee, you know
haha,
somebody caught the attention. Award for what? That also didn't matter, but
yeah,
somebody caught attention. So in the first 3 4 sentences you got to write some result based statement that
mm-hmm.
catches somebody's attention,
Mm-hmm.
because you got only 3 4 seconds to catch the attention. So that
Right,
first 3 4 sentences are very very important. And then of
because
course
numbers,
there are many more things to be done. You know that
yeah,
your wise doc does a fantastic job in that. But
right,
that's what I tell people, the first paragraph. And if you have done that clarity exercise well, you can mold this paragraph anyway based on this company's need. But the
mm-hmm.
core will be the same. You've been like, you were number one in customer service for two consecutive that will be the same. You can change a little bit of way of writing it, but the statement would be the same.
Right, right. Basically, the perfect sales pitches for ourselves, which, because numbers are more attractive than words. So I think
Absolutely.
if we put
Absolutely.
numbers based results, I think that's immediate attention grabbers is what you're trying to say, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in summary of what I shared as a triangle, if you look at clarity, I shared 3 points in there. Connection, sorry, the communication, I shared 3 points. In connection, again, three ways of looking at it. People who are kind of not sure how to develop connection. First, seriously look at your current connection. You have
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, you have Facebook, you have um, your email, you have your WhatsApp and phone book and whatnot. And if you have already done some clarity exercise and you've got some ideas of 2 3 ways you want to move forward, look at all those people who are already in those fields. Create a separate, kind of a group for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Like, these are the people whom I want to connect to build relationship. If you don't find anybody, look at their second connection. Do you
Right.
find anybody? So first
Right.
is look within your network and
Mm-hmm.
build good relationship with those people.
Right.
What happens, what I've seen in a lot of people including me, there were guys who were very successful in their career.
Mm.
They went too far ahead and we left them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't leave us, we left
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Now if I had to rebuild my career, I would think differently because I know how
Mm-hmm.
it works now.
Right.
So
Right.
ensure you connect with those guys. I don't look at their flaws. Oh, because they're running very fast, they're very arrogant and all. You're looking at the wrong thing. You look
Yeah.
at the good things, add value to them, they will add value to you.
Right.
So first, utilize your current network.
Mm-hmm.
Then see how you can expand your current network.
Mm-hmm.
One of the very beautiful question you can ask anybody in your current network to expand your current network is,
Mm-hmm.
say I meet Akash. Akash is my in my current network, and I say, Akash, I'm thinking of building my next role in analytics,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done following things, and I've already done a project, and I have worked with a insurance company. And today, they earlier they used to put 45 minutes to review a case for claim. Now they do only 2 minutes. So I'm very proud of what I've done. But you know what? Next thing I want to do, I want to be a head of analytics in a company like this. So Akash,
Mm-hmm.
do you know somebody, or whom do you think I should be talking to?
Right.
Whom do you think I should be talking to?
Yeah.
I asked Akash because I thought Akash knows a little bit about analytics, and I asked three, four, five other people in my community
Mm-hmm.
who are good in analytics space, or I think they're connected with somebody of that type. So I
Mm-hmm.
always talked about the results I've created, my excitement, and what I want to do, and then I say, "Do you know somebody whom I need to speak to, or whom
Right.
do you think? Whom do you think I need to speak to? Because I'm giving value to you. Your
Yeah.
opinion has
Yeah.
value. Whom do you think I should speak to?"
Yeah.
That's how I expand my current network.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is bring in new people in your network, because
Right.
network is your asset and you got to proactively build it. And
Yes.
through your connection in those communities and associations and LinkedIn and at job, and there are so many ways you'll be maneuvering. And when you have this antenna up and looking
Mm-hmm.
at those people whom you want to connect with, you will find those people.
Yep.
So
Right.
if you look at your career 5 10 years down the line, and if you have done this clarity, communication, and connection consistently, reviewing every 3 to 6 months, I don't see there's going to be any problem.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great framework and list of suggestions, Esan. So one more thing which I would like to ask is, if somebody wants the career coaching from you, is that limited to Australia only, or can somebody from United States contact you and request for services?
Anywhere and globally. So I have a little quiz. It's a 3 minutes quiz, and
Uh-huh.
one day I opened it and looked at the list of people who have taken the quiz. I think it's been 12 or 13 countries people have taken the quiz in. So the
I see.
intention
So
was to obviously create more impact across the globe rather than be limited to one country.
I see. So basically, they can get started with the quiz and answer questions and analyze themselves, and then they can continue and pursue further if the style is something which aligns with them.
Yeah, and they
Right.
don't really need to work with me at times. If they take the quiz or maybe set up a 15 minutes call with me, when they do the quiz, I give them 45 minutes time.
Mm-hmm.
Go through that, resolve your questions, and then do it on your own if you can. If you can't, then I should be the last resort. That's the way I look at it.
Great. So we'll add the details of contacting you in the description, and hopefully people can go through the quiz and see the details and analyze themselves and then contact you. Right.
Yeah, and
And
have individuals. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I time
I
to
see.
time I keep sharing some messages there, and
Hmm.
I try to add value to people who are connected with me on LinkedIn. So that could also be a good option.
Great. I think thanks a lot, Ehsan, for the time. And I think the three C's is something which needs to be highlighted in this overall video for people who are trying to see what am I supposed to do next. I'm stuck. So,
Yeah, that's the way it is, man. It's very easy if somebody
right.
does that. The overwhelm goes off, and they they know exactly what to look at, and they would know if they go through the framework. They would know where they are not really doing it right.
Hmm.
With that realization, they can, of course, everybody has connections these days. They can reach out to the right.
Yeah.
Don't just discuss with your friends. Discuss with people who are ahead of you. I think that's the biggest mistake we do, and we talk to
Right.
four
Most
friends and
true.
four friends give four different opinions, and that's not helpful.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to mislead because somebody has a secret recipe which works for them, and we believe that that works for us too. So that's
Yeah,
not true. I think we just have to find our own secret recipe.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Great. I think a lot of details, Ehsan. I think it's going to be very useful for people to go through, and we'll put some details in the description for them to approach the quiz and your direct connection as well. So
Thanks,
thank you for
Kurt.
time. Thanks for
Thanks
joining.
for inviting, and I'm looking forward for your wise dog to get to its next level. And yeah, if I could do anything for your audience, I'm very happy. Get them connected on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help.
Great. Thank you so much, Ehsan.
Thanks, man.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching this podcast. And I hope the three C's are really helpful for your career growth and also to analyze about yourself about how do you start before you get started about the career search. So go ahead and contact Ehsan Ali for more details. And if you are writing great resumes and cover letters for your next job, open wisedoc.net and start writing your great resumes. Thank you very much. And if you like more content like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Thank you.